This is a big old shift of the gears here and quite the Friday cocktail topic for you. We're talking about nuclear war, and I know it's not a great topic, but you really are going to want to hear this, we think.
With the atomic bomb, for better or for worse, a new age has been born.
So it has been nearly 80 years now since a nuclear weapon was used in combat, dropped by the United States first on Hiroshima and then August 9th, 1945 on Nagasaki. That, of course, ended the Second World War. But it started a nuclear arms race that we are, believe it or not, still running in. World leaders have reduced nuclear stockpiles down from about 70,000 warheads in 1986 to about 13,000 today. But nuclear nations are now once again building up their arsenals, and that includes our own. The U.S. is set to spend around $1.7 trillion to update and expand its nuclear capabilities. That works out to $108,000 every minute for the next 3 decades straight. Yeah, that's a per-minute cost larger than the per-year average earnings of most of the people listening to my voice right now. And of course, what we're talking about here is your money, American tax dollars. So I think it's a reasonable question to ask, what are we really buying here? Well, the military says that our nuclear weapons are outdated and increasingly out of step with the capabilities of our adversaries. And although the U.S. and Russia, which, by the way, lead the world with 5,000 nuclear warheads each, we have a treaty limiting use and production, but that is set to expire in 2026. So what are we buying here? In theory, what we're buying is deterrence. It's a message to the world of don't you dare, because if you do, we will too. And I think this is a good time for that Friday cocktail. Can I get a double actually out here right now?
Triple.
Jeez.
Well, we have a very special guest here. Joining us now is Ernest Moniz. He served as the Secretary of Energy during President Obama's second term, and he's now the CEO of the Nonpartisan Nuclear Threat Initiative. Ernest, thank you so much for joining us. So the central question, which I'm sure you're asked all the time, is why do we keep adding to this arsenal? Why do we keep advancing these weapons technologies when the whole point is not to use them?
Well, first of all, good morning. And second of all, clearly, we are, as you said, planning to invest nearly $2 trillion over the next decades in modernizing our system. Now, there is no doubt that we do need to do a certain amount of modernization because we've been living on 50, 60-year-old facilities and technologies. But it remains open to question, and the next president, whoever it is, will have major decisions to make there as we see Russia, of course, threatening to use nuclear weapons in its invasion of Ukraine. We see China expanding its arsenal and its delivery systems. We see risks in the Mideast, particularly with Iran in its current situation. We see the North Koreans continuing to expand. So our military is saying that we have to modernize and we may have to resume nuclear testing, which would be a big mistake, and we may have to expand the arsenal, which we also think would be a big mistake. Frankly, the issue is, do we have the deterrence capability, the second strike capability, and I think it's very hard to argue that we don't have that quite robustly right now, and looking ahead, we will sustain that.
We don't have robustly the second strike capability when we have such a large stockpile?
Well, yeah, Ernest, are you saying we don't have it or we do have it? Did we lose Ernest? Can you hear us?
I don't hear anything.
Well, we can split the atom and release the force inside, but a connection from here to Boston is beyond us for today.
For today. Hopefully we'll get him back. But this is just so fascinating. Also, I just can't get over the amount of money that's being spent. More than $100,000
per minute
for 30 years.
For the next 3 decades. And all with the hope that we'll invest that cash and not use what it buys.
Right. But I think the problem is, and this is what governments try to deal with, is if they're doing it, then we have to keep up. Oh, we're being told that Ernest is back with us. Mr. Moniz, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Now I can.
Great. We were just clarifying at the end there. Did you say that we don't yet have sufficient deterrent capabilities, or we do?
No, we do. We do have a very robust deterrence capability, and we believe that it would be in our best interests, first of all, to not resume nuclear testing, which would unleash others to do so. And secondly, with our deployed arsenal, we have more than enough capability to assure that we could respond to anybody who attempted to use nuclear weapons against us or our allies.
But, you know, Ernest, people hearing this will wonder what portion of their already filled brain they should commit to worrying about this issue when they have all these other real issues, day-to-day, immediate issues. If you had to rank it, or if you were quartered at a cocktail party, how much should Americans be worrying about nuclear war in their lifetimes?
Well, unfortunately, the risks of either accidental or intentional use are both going up dramatically right now. Many thought that after the Cold War ended now 30 years ago, that we were past this. But the reality is we are now at a risk level that probably compares to, may even exceed that of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Wow. And I think it's very important to remember that we are talking about weapons that are by far the most powerful on Earth. When we talk about giant conventional weapons, the so-called mother of all bombs, we're talking about the order of 10 tons of explosive. Hiroshima was 15,000 tons. Today we have weapons, nuclear weapons, 10 or even 100 times that strength. And that's not to even mention the enormous radioactivity that a nuclear weapon would release in contrast to a conventional bomb. So I think we've lost sight of these being weapons in an entirely different class. Deterrence, non-use is critical.
Wow. Ernest, thank you so much for that insight based on your experience with the Obama administration heading up the Department of Energy.
Yeah, and we're sorry about the technical difficulties.
Yes, we'll work on that technology. We work on that, you work on
We need to enhance our communications capabilities.